Hello, everybody. Miguel here from Unique Web Designer. And yes, I know I look like a mess, and there's a point to this madness. I was actually outside painting some exterior walls, and it got into my head to just come inside whenever I took a break to do a video. And this video, I'm not going to talk about web design or local SEO or anything related to my actual business. What I do want to discuss is how owning a business and painting are somewhat similar, and how people have like an idea of what each thing is completely off. It's and I did a little document here real quick, and I just want to go ahead and go over it. So if you're preparing to paint a bedroom, most people think, hey, if I'm gonna paint a bedroom, I just need some paint, a roller, maybe a brush, and that's it. And I'm painting. And yes, that's true. You can paint a bedroom like that. But here are the things that you actually need in order to properly paint a bedroom. So you need a drop cloth. Why do you need a drop cloth? Well, if you spill paint on the floor, you definitely are going to be spending a bunch of time cleaning that paint if you don't have a drop cloth. So you use a drop cloth to protect the floors. Now, spackle and putty knife. So spackle, you use it for, like, if you have small holes or small imperfections on the wall, you can just use a putty knife, cover that little hole with some spackle, and you're good to go. Tape. Now, let's say you have a line where you're trying to get that line perfectly on the wall. The only way you're gonna do that is if you use tape, because I've never met anybody that can actually just with a brush make a perfect line. So tape is literally the only way that you can get a perfectly straight line. Then you'll need a caulk. You'll need caulk and a caulking gun. And that would be basically like if you have cracks or something like that and the spackle isn't going to do you any good for those types of things, then you can use caulk, and with the caulking gun you can fill those cracks and smooth them out so that you can roll your paint and those cracks won't be visible once you finish painting. Then you'll need a towel. You'll need a towel for basically if you have spills or you have anything that drops on your floor, and you can use that towel while it's wet so that you can clean it. Then you obviously need a brush. Why do you need a brush? Because on the on the on the ceiling and on the floor, you're gonna have space that your roller isn't going to be able to cover, because if you go all the way up, then you're gonna hit the ceiling. If you go all the way down, you're gonna hit the floor. So you're gonna need a brush to do all the cutting. And then you'll need a roller. The roller is obviously to roll the walls, and that's the thing that you're mostly going to use is the roller, because that's what you're going to use to paint most of the wall surfaces. And then obviously you need paint. Without the paint, you can't paint anything. But if you notice, there's a bunch of things that you need before you can actually start painting, before you actually need the paint. Yet most people think, oh, if I'm painting a bedroom, all I need is a paint, a roller, and maybe a brush. And when it comes to owning a business and actually running a business, it isn't just about, oh, I have a couple of $1,000 or a couple of $1,000,000 in the bank, so I'm gonna start a business. No. If you want a business to be successful, it's not just about, hey, I'm gonna start a business, I have a good idea, and that's it, and then I'm just gonna kind of like roll with it. No. Here are the things that you will need in order to have a successful business. So obviously you need a business plan. Now, when I started mine, I didn't have a business plan, because what I did was I was doing freelance work, and then I started my business. But for the most part, if you're starting a business, you definitely want a plan. My plan wasn't written out, but in my head, which I don't recommend. But if if it worked for me, I know that it can work for other people. But it's better to write your business plan down. Like right now, I actually have my business plan written down so that anytime I want, I can go back to that and just read it and kind of like ingrain in myself what it is that I actually want with my business. Then obviously you need funding and capital. Depending on the business that you're starting, if it's a service-based business, you may need funding obviously for your equipment, this and that. But you always need money. Like you cannot start a business without money. Like there's people that will tell you, oh, you can start a side hustle without spending any money. But if you are trading time for money, then that's money. Why? Because if you're, let's say you're doing the stuff after work, you could be doing something else. So you are trading money some way, somehow, by having a business, regardless of whether it's a side hustle or whatnot. You are definitely going to need funding. And maybe you need internet. It's an internet based business. So you got to pay for internet. Yes, you may say, oh, but I already have internet. But you still got to pay for internet. Maybe you need a website. Maybe you need to do some marketing. Maybe you have to, there are a lot of things involved depending on the business that you're going to run that need money, funding. Then you need a business structure. So if you're going to legitimize your business, obviously you have to register it and make sure that you have a business license. So in my case, Unique Web Designer is an LLC and I am the sole proprietor. Now, in your case, you may have it as a corporation or you may have it as a partnership or whatnot, but you definitely need a business structure and for your business to be legalized so that you have a license in your state where you can do business using your business name. Now, business license and permits, that depends obviously on the service that you are providing. You may need like to have insurance, your business license and whatnot. The business bank account, obviously that's if you're going to receive money, you want it to go into a business bank account so that it's separate from your personal and you can do your accounting easier that way. The tax ID and EIN, it's basically how you can report taxes for your business to the IRS. And now some businesses don't have it because they do it together. They do the business and the personal combined, but it's a good thing to have. Whether you do it combined or not, it's just a good thing so that you can differentiate your business from yourself. Then you need business insurance. Okay, so I would say not all businesses need business insurance because obviously like we are web designers, so we don't have to insure anything. But if we were like a service provider, like say a painter, which is what I was doing earlier today, then you definitely would need to have insurance. Why? Because you're going out to people's homes. If you have an accident or that person has an accident because of your equipment, you are responsible. So at that point, it's good to have business insurance. Now, business location and office space. This greatly depends on what type of business you are going to have. In our case, we can work remotely, so we have the option of having an office or not having an office. Not every business is like that, but nowadays there's greater flexibility when it comes to having an office or not, because people understand, hey, I don't need to go to a storefront to have a website created. No, we can meet, we can interact through online and so on. And there's a lot of businesses, like I know a few companies, a few lawn service companies that they don't have an office. They do everything from a home office. They don't have clients showing up at their home or anything. So you don't necessarily need a business location. Now, obviously you do need an office so that you can do your business things, the manage your business from a specific place. So it could be your bedroom, it could be, heck, it could be your bathroom. It doesn't matter. When you're starting out, you just need to find a comfortable place where you can manage your business. And if you have employees, obviously maybe sometimes they'll need to come to your office to talk to you or whatnot. So it's always good to have like a bedroom or an office in your home. Or if you can rent an office, that's even better. But obviously you don't necessarily need like an outside your house business location. Now, business equipment and supplies, that goes back to funding. So if you are running any type of business, you're definitely going to need some type of equipment. Like in my case, we need computers. There's no way that I can do web design without a computer. And what else do we need? Okay, I need a mouse. I need software to use in order to build these websites. And there's a lot more things involved, but basically every business, regardless of the service that you provide, you're going to need some type of equipment, whether it's physical or it's a piece of software. So definitely keep that in mind. Then you have an accounting system. Now, this is 100% based on the individual. Some people like to do their own accounting. Some people hand it out. Some people use QuickBooks. Some people use Intuit. So it just depends. But you definitely need to keep your accounting. Why? Because if you don't know how much money is going out, how much money is coming in, how much money you're spending on taxes, how much money you're spending on employees, how much money you're spending on gas, and everything that has to do with your business, then you're like a duck without water. You're useless. You have to have some kind of system where you're seeing the money that's coming in and the money that's coming out. And especially as a small businesses, I mean, you will hear companies declaring bankruptcy, and major huge companies declaring bankruptcy because they couldn't keep their accounting in order. As a small business, it's just you, so you are responsible for keeping your accounting in order. So whether you hire somebody to do it, you have to be the oversight person, or you do it yourself through software, or you grab pen and paper and you do it yourself. But accounting, having an accounting system is crucial. Now, marketing strategies and sales strategies. Okay, so in my case, I we do local SEO, and we also do some calling. We will call businesses that we know do not have a website. So those are marketing strategies, and we also post on social media. Obviously, I make videos here on YouTube that help a little bit. So you have to have a marketing strategy and a sales strategy for your business. Why? Because without that, what money are you going to make? If you're not selling your service, what money are you going to make? No, you're just gonna be sitting at home doing nothing. Because if nobody knows about your business, then you're not going to have any clients. There's not gonna be any money coming in. So you have to have a strategy, whether that is having a website and doing some SEO so that you can start ranking on Google and thus start getting traffic to your website and clients start calling you. Or if you go door to door trying to sell, maybe you just do a some ads on the newspaper, or you send pamphlets and flyers to people's homes, or you do Facebook advertising, Google pay-per-click, or whatnot. Whatever your strategy is, you have to have one, because without a marketing and sales strategy, you're going nowhere. And when it comes to sales, you gotta know how to sell your service. You gotta have a price. You gotta have this. You gotta have that. I mean, that is definitely crucial in order for your business to survive. I would say that's, aside from the person, from you, the second most important thing about any service is their marketing strategy and sales strategy, because that's what's going to keep you alive. You may provide a bad service, but if you have a good sales team or a good marketing strategy, you could go for a long time. Now, if you provide excellent service, combine that with a good marketing and sales strategy, the sky's the limit. Now, moving on. So, website and online presence. Now, this one isn't necessary. It's beneficial, but it isn't necessary. And you may be thinking, Miguel, why the hell would you say that having a website is not necessary if you run a web design company? And the thing is, I like to be 100% honest with people. I'm not necessarily concerned. Yes, I want to sell my services, but I'm not trying to sell my services to people that don't need it. And here's the reason why you don't need a website. I've called plenty of businesses that do not have a website that are making millions and millions of dollars. And I'll call them and say, hey, I noticed that you guys don't have a website. Would you like me to help you build your online presence? And some people, they'll say, yes, I'm interested. Let's build a website. And then other people are like, no, we have no interest in building a website. We are doing very well as we are, and there's no need. They have their client base. They get clients all the time through referrals, and they've been around for a while, and they don't need a website. Now, me, would I recommend that they have a website? Yes, 100%. Why? Because we live in a world where everybody's on their cell phone, everybody's on their laptop, everybody's on their tablet, everybody's connected to the online world. And whenever anybody wants to find like a pizza joint, they just go on their cell phone and pizza place near me. Or if they want their pool clean and they don't have a pool cleaner, they'll just go on Google and be like, pool cleaning company in XYZ. So back in the days, most people would ask a friend. They would say, hey, do you know any company that does that? And that still happens. But for the most part, people are going to Google, Bing, and doing a search, and then they'll make their decision based on the results that they get. They may look at your reviews and this and that. So having an online presence is definitely crucial, and it can help your business grow exponentially, but it's not needed. Now, starting out, I do believe every business should have an online presence. Whether you want to have a website or not, that's up to you, but you gotta have an online presence, whether it's on social media, Google My Business or Google Business Profile, and so on. But you need to have an online presence starting out, because the businesses that don't have a website that are doing well are usually businesses that have been around for a while. They have clients, they have other ways of doing marketing, and they've been able to succeed without having a website. So they don't need it, and they don't see the need because they're doing well and they continue to grow. But if you're starting out, every little bit helps, and the quickest way to success is through being online. Why? Because you will give your business access to millions and millions of people. Now, if you're providing like a service that's within a specific area, then okay, let's say there's 10,000 people in your city where you're providing your service. If you don't have an online presence, you literally have to go talk to those 10,000 people for them to know, or you will have to have reached out to somebody who told somebody else, or you do a marketing campaign or whatnot. But if you have a website and your website starts ranking, literally everybody in that town can find you. Why? Because everybody in that town probably has a cell phone, and they may do a search for your service. So starting out, I would definitely say a website is necessary. And if you want growth, a website is definitely a good way to go. But if you're a well-established business that has been flourishing without a website, then no, you don't need one. But I would still recommend it. And now, business management software and tools. Okay, so for this one, like in our case, obviously we do local SEO. We do we create websites, so we use software such as, let's say, Elementor, which is a site builder. We use Divi, which is also a site builder. We use the WordPress platform. We use a lot of plugins. We use So there's a lot of software involved, and we also use software called SEMrush to study the competition when it comes to SEO and so on. So in my case, we have a lot of software, and I use some software tools to manage the projects so that I can stay in contact with my team, and also with our clients. But in your case, you may actually only need one or two pieces of software, and this is just for management. Like, let's say if you're providing a service that you're going out to people's houses, like let's say pool cleaning, hey, you could use a software to track everything that you're doing, to see the sales, to figure out, how much that client is worth to you, and to make a schedule. You make your schedule. Okay, I'm gonna do these 20 pools this today, and then tomorrow I'm gonna move to this side of town, so I'm gonna do those 20 pools. And you can have a software that basically does all of that for you, does all the scheduling, so you don't have to worry about that. And so regardless of the business, having software to do a lot of the work, a lot of the kind of like mundane work for you, is crucial, because it's going to save you a lot of time. I mean, just think about it. If you had to make everyone's schedule by hand like people used to do before, it would take you a long time. Yes, you could do it, but if you could save a couple of hours a day, because you can just enter the information and the software does it for you automatically, then you have 2 hours that you could be doing something that's more useful. Okay, so moving on, legal contracts and agreements. Okay, so like in my case, we have contracts with every person that we create a website for. So we send a contract that they need to sign, they need to initial, they need to go over it. And we also have contracts with our with some of the service providers that we use, and with my employees. So we have contracts for pretty much everything that deals with a transaction. And in your case, depending on what kind of business you have, you definitely need legal contracts and agreements. And that's just to cover your behind. I know back in the day, it used to be yes, and that was all that mattered. People's word actually meant something. Nowadays, it's not so much. So you need to make sure that you cover your bases, you cover yourself, you cover your business, so that you don't end up having legal problems because you didn't do your contracts. And you don't have to do elaborate contracts. You can just make them simple, but make sure that if you're going to provide a service to somebody, you have a contract that they sign that lists specifically what you are responsible for, what they are responsible for, and so on. And that will save you a lot of headaches. Now, skilled employees and contractors. This one obviously is not needed. Why? Because if you're a one-man band and you do everything, then you don't need employees or contractors. However, if you do, then you need to find skilled employees and contractors. So this one is a maybe. Now, I always think of running a business this way. Okay, so when I started out, I was doing everything. I was a one-man show. I was freelancing. I was getting websites. I was getting the contracts. I was doing the work. I was contacting the clients. I was the one doing the meetings. I was the one, sending the emails, sending the updates, and pretty much everything. I was the one doing the accounting, and every little thing. I was the one doing it. But guess what? Once I started growing, I couldn't handle everything. I needed to hand some of this stuff off. Like right now, if we have 10 websites that we need to build in a month, I can't build 10 websites by myself. Now, I may decide, well, instead of building 10 websites every month or 20 websites or whatnot, it may be better for me just to focus on 2 or 3 big projects that, bring in enough money, and I will control everything. Yes, that's a good strategy. Some people do not like working with others, and they like to control everything. So if you don't want employees, that's fine. You can do it all by yourself. But the way I look at this is, if I'm starting to grow, I want to make sure that my time is spent on growth, on running the business, on the things that actually matter. And I'm not trying to say that certain things don't matter, but like, say we do a thing where we do searches on Google Maps to see where to see the companies that don't have a website and the companies that don't have a Google business profile. And yes, that's something that needs to be done in order for us to be able to find more clients and to contact them. But if I was spending time doing that, I would not be spending time meeting clients, doing, the networking, which is what brings us the most money. So I'm not going to take that up on myself. I'm already at the point where, hey, let me hand this off to somebody that can specialize on that and maybe even do it much better than I can. Now, I'm the type that I like knowing everything that's done in my company, so I actually do it so that I know how to do it. And then when I hand it off to somebody, I know what to expect. I know how hard it is, how easy it is, how mundane it is, how boring it is, how exciting it is. So I can at least have an idea of what to expect from that person. And I can figure out, hey, okay, how can I make this person more efficient? How can I help them do their job better? And so there are things that you have to hand off as you grow. Like, beginning, yes, do it all because you don't have the money, you don't have this, you don't have that to have a large team. But once you start growing, if you want to continue growing, then there'll be a time where you will have to hand things off, where you have to hire somebody. Like, if you're cleaning pools, you could do it. I know somebody that cleans, that does 60 accounts or 80 accounts, I mean. So he handles 80 accounts, but his boss has 300, 400 accounts. So between the two, they couldn't do all of them. So what did his boss decide? Okay, well, let's get more people on our team. Let's get a marketing team. Let's do this. Let's do that. And they've been able to continue their growth. But if his boss only wanted to keep this 80 accounts and them two handling it, then that's it. They would not have kept growing outside of raising their prices or whatnot, but they would not have been able to keep taking on more accounts because they wouldn't be able to provide the service to them. And I'm all for people that want to do it all. And if that's you, that's fine. But there comes a point in every business where you have to decide, do I want to continue growing or do I want to stay where I'm at? If you want to stay where you're at, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to continue growth, eventually you will have to hand certain things off. And in my case, I like handing off things that kind of like that I can teach somebody fairly easy. So I have developers. Obviously, I can't handle 10, 20 websites a month by myself. So I have developers. We do local SEO. I can't handle all of the SEO. Yes, I'm involved in everything, but I can't do everything. I can't be in 20 different places at one time. So I have people that do the research. I have people that do the websites. I have people that do the designing, and I look over everything. And that's the way that I saw growth in my company. When I was doing everything, I had a ceiling, and the only way that I was able to grow was to raise my prices or to basically work 100 hours a week. And to me, that's not a good way to live. It's better to keep your pricing. Yes, you can raise it because you're doing better things as your business grow, but I mean, keep getting new clients and bring in people that can help you sustain that growth. Now, Next, customer service system. Now, a customer service system is more like, okay, well, how are you going to deal with your potential clients and your clients? And in my company, I'm the one that actually deals with every single client. Like, I'm the one that actually has contact with every single client that comes in, as a customer. And I do the onboarding meetings. I'm the one that's going over the designs, the plans, and everything. Yes, I'll have team members that'll join a lot of times if it's something complicated where I'm thinking, well, this isn't something that I'll probably be able to explain and be able to put forth the same information that the client gave me. So yes, I'll bring in some of my team members into the design meetings, and a lot of times also into the testing phase where we'll test certain parts of certain websites, like a system that we created. We'll test it with my developer and the client, just so that if we see anything or the client notices something, then the developer is listening, so they can see and figure out and get it directly from the client, the concerns. And that's what a customer service system is about. It's just figuring out how you're going to deal with your clients, your potential clients, and just make sure that you have a system, whether it's you in like the way that I do it, or if you're going to delegate that task. Then an inventory management system, as you see here, I put on here if applicable, because you may not have inventory, so you may not need it. But if you have inventory, obviously you're going to need a system, whether it's you. If it's not too many things, you can probably just do it yourself. But if it's like a restaurant, then you may have 500 things on your menu, or not on your menu, but 500 different things that you use as condiments and so on to prepare. And you definitely need an inventory management system at that point. But some businesses don't need it, so if you need it, definitely get that in order before you take off the ground. You need to know what it is that you're going to use to keep up with your inventory before you start out. Now, compliance with regulations and laws. Now, this is different, obviously, for every business and for every service provider. So I won't go into too much detail because it's just completely different for everybody. But obviously, you want to make sure you're doing your taxes, you're doing your local taxes if there are any. Here in Florida, we don't have state taxes, so there's none of that going on. But in some states, you'll have federal taxes and state taxes to worry about. So just make sure that you're following regulations for your area. Now, business continuity and disaster recovery plan. Now, this one is tough, because this one is basically, hey, what will you do if things go haywire? And some people never think of this. And if you think of all these huge people in the business world, so like let's say Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, anybody that you can think of, even people that that own a business. If you ask them, you will probably find out that they've failed a lot of times, and that they've had businesses that failed, that they've had ideas that failed, that they've been in certain situations where they didn't know if they were able to continue. Like let's say in Steve Jobs, using Steve Jobs as an example, Steve Jobs was actually fired from his job at Apple, and then he was brought back. Now, Apple was his baby. He started with, then when he got fired, I believe, if I remember correctly, he started working with Pixar and he built that company up. And then Apple was like, oh, wow, he knows what he's doing. So let's bring him back. Like, we're struggling and we need his innovation, his mind. We need him. So they brought him back, and look what Apple became. So I I don't know. I don't even know if that applies here. But it's like that was their disaster recovery plan. In other words, it's like, hey, let's the first step was firing him. Then to survive, they were like, oh, let's bring him back. And obviously, you're not gonna fire yourself. Um, but you gotta have some kind of plan. Like, okay, what happens if everything goes haywire? What happens? Do you go and get another job? Do you have a enough money in the bank where you can say, well, I'll always have 6 month savings, that'll keep my business and myself afloat. Now, once you get to that 6 month, if nothing happens, what are you going to do? And I'm not the type that likes to dwell on those types of things because I know businesses have their up and downs. I actually had a company that went belly up. And what I learned is that a lot of times as business owners, we keep going and we keep going and we keep going because we don't want to let our baby die. And there does come a time where we do have to let it die if it's not working out. And just because your baby died, your business, went belly up, it doesn't mean that you can't start another business. It doesn't mean that you can't come back to that idea and make it work. Apple was doing well. Then they started struggling. They fired Steve Jobs and they kept struggling. Then they brought him back. And then they became one of the most important companies in the world. So it's like you are the one that needs to know, kind of like you gotta have your end. It's kind of like you gotta plan for the end, and not in this case, not for the end, for the disaster. What am I going to do? And yes, if you have to let it go, just let it go. You can start another business. You can try that business again, and it may be successful. You may have already learned the things that you need to learn to run a business, to do another business, to try that business again later. Because a lot of times we're so caught up in the business that we're like blinded. And that's what happened to me. I was like blindsided. I was thinking, oh, if I do this, it's gonna work out. If I do that, it's gonna work out. If I do that, it's gonna work out. And every time that something didn't work out, I thought, no, I could do something more. And it's kind of like the guy that invented the, I believe it was the light bulb. And he said, oh, I never failed. I just found out X amount of ways not to do something. And that's great. But when you're not making any money and your business is struggling and you gotta eat, you gotta pay your bills, obviously you gotta have a point where you just say, hey, this isn't working out right now. I need to figure out a better way to do things and move on, or get a job and see if you can continue the business idea or not. So you definitely have to have a disaster recovery plan. And then business continuity is basically like in my case, I don't want to work for my entire life. I want to have freedom. And that's why I moved from a business that required me to be present at all times to a business such as this one. Why? Because what I do, web design, customer relations, local SEO, marketing, that kind of stuff, I can do that from here in my home. I could do it from our office. I could do it from an airplane somewhere. I can do it in Dubai. I can do it in Mexico. I can do it from anywhere. So long as I have internet and a laptop, I can do what I do. And all I need is literally internet, laptop, and a cell phone. That's literally the only thing that I need, because everything that I do is within my laptop, within my computer, within my phone. And an internet puts it all together. So that's basically what I did, and that's about business continuity. And that's just basically me saying, hey, if there comes a point where I want to travel, where I want to do this, where I want to use the freedom that this business provides me with, then the business continues and I can continue working in the business. Now, I could also decide, hey, I'm just gonna have someone else run the day-to-day operations, and I'm going to focus on other things. So it just depends, but you should definitely have kind of like a plan for how you want your business to go, you know, throughout the years, and also what am I going to do if things go wrong. And then the last one, which and there are a lot more things that entail having a business and running it properly, but the last one that I came up with was networking and professional connections. And the reason why I think this is so important, and if you could do this beforehand, more power to you. But for the most part, this is going to happen within your business. You know, from the moment that you open up your business, you're going to start making connections, whether it be with clients, with colleagues, and those connections are going to make more connections for you, and they may give you more clients. You may find that through one specific connection, your business has grown 200 times. You know, like say in my case, I was doing freelance at the beginning, and what happened is I had my clients that I was getting through Fiverr and Upwork. And then one of them, she said, hey, I want you to build me 4 websites. And I had only built one website for her. So now this person was giving me 4 websites. Then she referred people to me because she was happy with with my service, and they referred people to me. Just the other day, like no joke, and this would have been about 8 years ago. Just the other day, somebody called me and they say, oh, so and so told me about you. And to be honest, I have not done any work for her for the past about 5 years. Yet there's still people calling me because of that connection that I made with her. And another thing is I get a lot of business from other agencies. So there are agencies that are larger. Some of them are actually smaller, but they don't like to do any work in house, so they subcontract. It's kind of like, you may have somebody go to your house and sell you a roofing service, but then the company that comes is not the company that went there, and you see, so they subcontract out that service. In the web design and local SEO industry, that happens a lot. There are a lot of companies, for the most part, it tends to be larger companies that subcontract things out, because there are some, like there's one specific companies, and obviously we work under NDAs, so I can't discuss specific names or whatnot, but there's one company that we did a website for, if I remember correctly, it was about $4,000. And and it was an agency. They brought them to us. When I found out what they charge, and we were just talking, chit chatting, and I was like, huh, so how much did you guys charge for this website? He actually showed me the contract. They charged $30,000 for that website. Now my company is not big enough, or has the branding and the name, the clout, to be charging $30,000 for that type of website. It was basically a 10-page website, informational website. Yet that company is able to charge 30, 40, $50,000 for that specific website. And how much do we build those websites for regularly? About $2,500 to $3,000. But they can actually charge those amounts. And what they do, instead of having a bunch of developers or whatnot, they contact companies like me, like mine, and they say, hey, can you handle this project for me? And we've done a lot of projects with them, and we also do projects with other agencies. So a lot of times, to be honest, those are the things that kept us afloat, because at the beginning, when I decided, hey, I don't want to depend on Upwork, on Fiverr, on all these freelancing websites, I decided, okay, well, I'm gonna create my business. I'm gonna do my website. I'm gonna start marketing it. I'm gonna start doing this. I'm gonna start doing that. I was learning SEO myself, because I didn't have enough to be paying another company to do it. So in other words, at the beginning, I didn't have a lot of revenue coming in from my own clients, and my website wasn't well known, so I wasn't getting any clients, any visitors to my website. So most of the money that was actually coming in were from these agencies, and the only reason why that happened is because of the networking that I did and the connections that I built with these agencies. And a lot of them I did find through freelancing platforms, and then others I just contacted some of the agencies here in South Florida, and I told them, hey, I'm a freelancer. I'm not too busy right now. If you have any work that you want me to help you guys with, just send it my way. And I contacted probably about 20 to 30 web design companies, and right now I work with like 4 or 5 that are local, and then some that are not local. So definitely networking can take your business to the next level. And I'm just gonna end it here, but just keep in mind, like, painting a bedroom is not just about having some paint and a roller. Running a business is not just about going to get a business license and saying I'm going to open up a business. There are a lot of things that you have to keep in mind and consider in order to properly run a business. And you don't want to start a business without a plan. Why? Because then you may end up like, who knows the percentage of businesses that fail, but most businesses fail. Most businesses close their doors within the first, I believe, is 3 to 5 years. So you don't want to be that. And it doesn't mean that having a plan is going to resolve all those problems, but if you have a plan, at least you have something to guide you. You have a kind of like a roadmap of what needs to be done. And if you execute properly, you have a better chance of succeeding. So hopefully this video has been useful to you. And if it has, be sure to like it, share it with anybody that you think could find something useful from it, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, until next time, Unique is out.